Here we go. So this morning, the all-important CPI inflation report was released, and it's a surprise. So how are stocks reacting, and also how does this affect our open positions, and what's happening with our WTF, the win the fear trades? That's what we're going to talk about today. So welcome to Coffee with Markus and Mark, and today is Thursday, January 11th, and in this show, we are going to talk to you about what's happening in the markets and how we are trading it. And gosh, where do we start, Mark? I mean, let's just hop over to the S&P, and we see markets are down.
Look at that, Marcus. And it was interesting because we had a key report this morning that everybody was waiting for. And based on the reaction, it seemed like the market should be down, but we actually started and moved positive.
Yeah, we need to take a look at a 5-minute chart of the mini S&P because this is where we see the true story. So right here, the CPI inflation data has been released. And initially the reaction is like, sky is falling. And then, oh, it ain't that bad. And then, yeah, it is bad.
Yep. So CPI data coming out. We know that this week it's all about inflation with today's CPI report and then also tomorrow's PPI report. Typically, CPI is a little more significant and potentially market moving. Core CPI came out in line with expectations. However, CPI ticked higher, and the CPI year over year was also higher than expected.
Yeah, so I mean, last month we had pretty good news from the CPI front. So it was only rising by 0.1%. And I think last month 0.2% was expected. And this is what was expected again. But then it came in at 0.3%. Now, the core CPI, which includes food and energy, right, came in right in line with expectations. But as you said, we are seeing an uptick in the CPI. So here, I actually found this graph where we see, okay, the consumer price index just hang in there. I mean, it's coming down. That is the good news. But right now, inflation seems to be super stubborn.
And that's the issue. The Fed says that, hey, we might be willing to cut rates this year, but we're going to keep an eye on the data. Peak inflation might have been established there in 2022, but I don't think they're in any hurry to cut rates. And this type of data shows that maybe keeping rates higher longer is the way to go.
Yeah, and this where right. Let's see what traders think about it, and super interesting because we just looked at it before we started the show, and right now, I mean, traders think, nah, there's still a 67% probability that they're cutting rates as early as March, and I mean, after this morning's data, I don't think so. I mean, I stand by my prediction that we are probably talking about June or July before they start cutting data. I'm more in the second half of the year camp that they're probably doing it sometime in July.
Yeah, I would shoot for June, but March just seems super aggressive, and even May I think is a little well, it is optimistic.
Yeah. I mean, looking at interest rates, surprisingly here, I mean, it's initially the jump higher, and right now hanging out the 10-year yield just above the 4% level that we have been watching here very closely over the past few weeks.
And that's what other investors are looking at. Where will this settle? Can we see the yields start to fall a little bit more, which would take a little pressure away from some growth stocks and names and some equities, or will we stay higher? Right, the 4% level I think is a good target to watch, and hopefully we dip a little bit more to help equity markets.
Yeah. But right now, the S&P 500 and markets are unsure. And just say, hey, since we're going into earnings season tomorrow, let's take some profits because we also talked about it. I mean, the S&P kind of trapped right now between 4,700 and 4,800. So here's the 4,800 mark, here's the 4,700 mark. And after yesterday, scratching the 4,800, it seems that today a pullback here, right dead smack back in the middle of this range here.
Yep. So a little bit of a pullback, and although we knew that today's inflation data and just it being an inflation week, that it could be market moving, but I think that the real focus now is what do earnings look like? Are we seeing earnings coming out in line or better than expectations, or are there some recession-like concerns?
Yeah, and this is where, everybody will be waiting what Jamie Dimon from JPMorgan has to say. Tomorrow morning before the opening, JPMorgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, BlackRock, Citigroup, so the banks are reporting. And it seems that the markets are nervous because if we are looking at the heat map here, earlier it looked a little bit more mixed, but we already saw that banks are actually selling off today a little bit more than the market because markets are just down 0.5%. JP Morgan down 1.2%. Bank of America 2%. Wells Fargo, let me just take a quick peek here. What Wells Fargo looks like. Down 1%. Citigroup 2.5%. So going into earnings, definitely some weakness in the financial services, specifically the banking sector here.
Definitely. Look at that red.
Yeah. So a sea of red, a few standing out, but overall right now, it doesn't matter whether you're looking at the Dow, the S&P, or the NASDAQ, down across the board. Now, in other news, got to pay attention to Bitcoin again. Bitcoin, wow, what a ride today. Look at this. This is a 5-minute chart of Bitcoin. It started at 46,400, went all the way up to 47,000 and now pulling back to 46,550. So lots of news here in the cryptocurrency sector.
Yes, 11 Bitcoin ETFs trading now, and did you see that? Like, there's ARK, BFBTC, IBIT. It's just everybody trying to get in on this.
Yeah, we looked at it the other day, but we also, let's not get ahead of ourselves. So the SEC approved rule changes that paved the way for Bitcoin ETFs. So they haven't approved the Bitcoin ETFs. Based on my understanding, they just changed the rules so that they now can approve the Bitcoin ETFs. Because SEC Chief Gary Gensler, he's completely against crypto. So that is a huge step. And as you said, everybody's in there. And we have even the big guys, BlackRock, Fidelity, Vanguard, I believe, is in there, right? You mentioned Kathy Wood and her fund. So a lot. 11 ETFs waiting to get approved.
Well, Markus, to be honest, this is where I don't know if the spot issue is still to be determined, but pull up ARKB.
It's already there?
Yeah.
ARKB. Woo! 5-minute chart.
Yeah, and then there's FBTC.
FBTC, that's Fidelity's. All right, they are trading today.
There's IBIT.
Say again?
IBIT. IBIT.
Oops.
Okay, that one maybe trading a little bit more, but so there's 11 Bitcoin ETFs, and a bunch of them launched today, and they're fighting over fees, and it'll be interesting to see just who ends up being the bigger, player out of the bunch. But to be 100% clear, I'm not 100% sure about the spot aspect of that, because I thought that there was that process, and whether or not it was approved and now it's trading, or if these kicked off and they're going to transition. I'm not clear about that, but they are going. These Bitcoin ETFs are trading today.
Wow, there we go. But if you bought into it this morning, you're already down. And then we talked about it. Sell the rumor, buy the fact. Buy the rumor, sell the fact. That's how it's done. And this is what we see right now in Bitcoin on the 5-minute chart. massively losing. I mean, this is here a huge slide since earlier this morning. We're talking about 6% just in the last, what, hour or so.
And that's what I expected. But hey, this run up until now, it has been pretty impressive. There's no argument
Yeah.
there.
All right, let's take a look at our positions, and we start with our real positions and then move over to the WTF, the win the fear trades. And I mean, pretty much same old today. We have CSIQ pulling back a little bit because interest rates are higher, but we also see intraday, okay, they were moving lower right now, coming back up. So we will see if they can move past the trend line. So if they're closing at around above 2350, I would be happy today. But we're still interested in potentially flying a rescue mission right around here, maybe around 21. What do you think?
Yeah, that I think is a great level to be considering adding to CSIQ. Today it pulled back to 22.28. That was the low. Seemed like we were getting near that price, but CSIQ definitely coming off of the lows.
Yeah. So we'll see. And then also the energy sector here today showing some weakness. Let me just pull it up here. So down 2.5%. And again, we'll see where we stand at the end of the day. Want to see that this trend line remains intact. In order for it to remain intact, we would have to pull up again above, I want to say 6150. So let's see. It seems that the dust is not yet settled, and the verdict is out of what's happening here with the CPI data and also tomorrow's earnings.
True, true.
Oxy, on the other hand, Oxy getting a boost today, up 0.8%, because Warren Buffett, also Berkshire Hathaway, bought more Oxy and therefore bringing up their stake to 34% in Oxy right now. We have sold the 57 put, and right now trading above 57 again. I wish that it would trade below, that we get assigned.
This one's going to come down to the wire for sure. There is also a little boost because crude oil is up 3%. So, with some uncertainty, some geopolitical concerns there, and crude oil rallying, that's having an impact on oil and gas in general. So, that combined with the uh, Buffett effect, uh, elevating Oxy today, but tomorrow is another day. So 57, the line in the sand for us.
Yeah. And then UPS, I mean, UPS again pulling back below the 160 level and trading right around here. So I must honestly say I was thinking about potentially rolling these calls, but I'll let the chips fall. I mean, that's right now my plan. If tomorrow we are above 160, I'll get called away. I have another position open in my portfolio to enter more trades. If we are trading below, I'll sell the 160 calls again. I mean, right now my break even is at 146.53. Very happy with this. So I will just keep playing this and see if I'm getting called away here or if I have an opportunity to sell more calls. So I'm not planning on rolling this right now, subject to change. I'll let you know tomorrow morning.
Sounds good. I mean, you played this one perfectly, Marcus. I'm still waiting to sell calls, and I was hoping we get some follow through to the upside today, but not the case. So hurry up and wait for me.
Yeah. WTF, our win the fear trades. Today we had another sell signal for fast. So this is where fast we entered at 63 63.45. So right here, so we entered it a little bit early because we saw the pullback, and that's what we are trying to do here. We're trying to catch bottoms. It fell a little bit more, but did exactly what we expected it to do. However, today I closed it at 63 even, therefore a loss of 45 cents. Our first loss for the year in the WTF strategy.
Sure, but it's been a nice run, and this is to be expected. I think we've shared the numbers this week, and typically out of 10 trades, based on our testing and based on the strategy and how we identify these WTF trades, I expect 7 wins out of 10 trades on average with 2 small losses. maybe one stop out. And right now, this is exactly what we're seeing with WTFs this year.
Yeah. So going really well. So this was a small loss for me. I think the loss was around $700. I think $709. And this is where, after making around $4,000 on the other ones, I'm okay giving back here a little bit of money.
Sure.
No new trades. No new trades for WTF.
Nope.
But
Could
maybe
be tomorrow.
with today's pullback, because right now markets have decided to sell off. Look at this. So right now the sell-off is accelerating. The Nasdaq is down almost 1%, the S&P down 0.8%, the Dow 0.7%. So it seems that traders are nervous. The VIX, however, still low. Well, it just spiked a little bit to above 13 at least, because it was trading below 13. If you look at a daily chart, that's super low.
Look at that.
All right. So still a lot going on, and tomorrow earnings season will kick off, and we believe that this will move the markets, combined with, on the economic calendar, the PPI. And after we had a surprise to the upside today, which is not good for inflation in the CPI, the question is, what will PPI do and how will the markets react? So make sure that you're joining in and tuning in tomorrow. If you enjoyed today's show, give us a like. If you like it when we go through our trades, our thoughts, what we see here in the market. If you think that others can benefit from it, please feel free to share. There's a share button underneath. And otherwise, we will see you again tomorrow.
Happy trading, everybody.